We're going live. We're live. How's it going, everybody? How's everything going? Can everybody see us? Alrighty. So we are live.
I brought a visitor today.
So did I.
Yeah, just to have some company.
Oh yeah.
So we have actually decided today that we're going to pick a topic.
Yes.
So my grandson here has picked the topic that he wants to talk about. So
Well, today is a very big episode. And the reason is we are going to be getting into propaganda, which is not an easy subject because not a lot of people understand how much this affects everybody's life. Everybody in the United States, everybody in Europe, this affects everybody's life. So this is a huge topic. And unfortunately, it's not going to reach enough people, but we just want to get this message out here because this is a serious thing that's going on in the country, and we want to see if we can help people understand it.
well, we're not professionals by any means of anything we're doing. We're just going to discuss a word that whose definition is information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize partisan, political causes or point of views. So we're going to tackle this. You could say we're hiding behind a fence. Well, we're not hiding behind a fence. We're right here in front of you talking live.
Over a
you
piece
have
of
to excuse
propaganda.
my shaking. I suffer from Parkinson's. And so we'll start with propaganda and try to make some sense of it. I'll start with a very visible way that propaganda works and how it makes its way from one place to another. I don't know how many, I wouldn't want to guess, I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess. But when I grew up, there was a paper called Pravda. It was printed by the Russian Communist Party. It was their main paper. It gave nothing but basically misleading information. To my mind, now it's just my opinion, I'm not entitled to anybody else's opinion, that they were making propaganda through not necessarily telling the truth, but if you tell enough lies, people, us humans, as I told you last week, absorb because they keep listening, as in my case with the audience here. We're talking to the same people mostly the same time. And Pravda just kept doing what it's doing, and all of a sudden it fell off the earth. It fell off the earth. It was the world's not round. So it had to have fallen off the ledge. So where did it go? Where did a paper like this, giving as much misleading political basic lies, go? So I'm going to tell you where it went, and you're going to take this all wrong, and it's okay. It's okay. I've been wrong so damn many times that one more won't make any difference. I am not a racist. I am not a person that cares about who's got what opinion of what. You should listen to everybody's opinion, and we don't do that. I sit and talk to adults my own age, and sometimes they don't hear a thing I have to say, not one thing. Not one word of one thing that I've said. Okay. And it's not Democrats and it's not Republicans, it's the whole bunch of them. So Pravda went to the New York Times. They've been with the New York Times for, I guess, 40 years or more. And the New York Times has led the charge, as far as I'm concerned, to heating up some of the biases and misunderstandings. And let's see, you took me out of context.
The media.
You didn't understand what I was trying to say, and but the way the person that did this said it uh, was intentional. It's just like me. I'm doing intentional. And I have to, if the goons come to get me at the front door to try to keep my free speech from going, well, they'll come to my front door. There won't be anything I can do about it, you know? So we've got a lot of propaganda going on, just tons of propaganda. And, it's going to sound sometimes like I'm totally right wing, and it's going to sound sometimes as if I'm totally left wing, because I've always been an independent. I've never been a party person. I think the Republicans suck at some things, and I think the Democrats suck at some things. And yet, there are some things that both these parties have helped more than they've hurt. I don't know too many of them, but it's okay. Um, I have a son that's fixing to be 60. So the propaganda that's been out there for years about how the Social Security and the Medicare are running out of money. Well, the AARP themselves, who are always, and I've been a member of AARP for 28 years. I'm 78 now, and I joined when I was 50. And there were 5 or 4 or 6, I don't even know, million people that during a period of time, back in time, I don't even know what the years were, to be honest with you, but 4 or 5 million people decided to leave AARP because of their left-wing, sayings, nature, whatever they were doing, and they left. I had no intentions of leaving AARP because both sides of a situation need to be discussed to hopefully help the people having to make the decision can make a decision based on not misleading information, but information that is square on for their locale. There are some locales that need this, and there are some locales that need that, and there are some locales that claim that they don't need anything, they just need you to stay out of their business. And it takes all kinds of situations to make things happen. So that's the way that'll go. Now, as to what we're going on through in the United States, let's look at propaganda from a totally different situation. Okay, the Republicans. Now, this is just going to give you some of the propaganda. This have always thought that Roe versus Wade was terrible for them, absolutely terrible for them. It's the worst piece of legislation that had been written about them for years and years and years and years and years. And all of a sudden, their side got a ruling the year of 2022 before the elections, which gave it back to the states to decide what they wanted to do. Well, for those of you like me, who may not know everything about the Constitution, I don't, but I believe that what they did back in 1776 was to write a document which clearly said that the power resided in the states and not in a federal government. They hardly had a federal government at that point in time. They weren't collecting taxes. They didn't have Social Security. They didn't have Medicare. They didn't have, every town didn't even have streets to pave because there were no lights on the streets. There were no tennis courts. There was none of this stuff was back then. So they dealt with it from the standpoint of they felt the states could make their own decisions about things. Well, now what does that do? That means that state number one may not like chocolate syrup. So they don't put anything in there about chocolate syrup. The state just north of them loves chocolate syrup. So they put chocolate syrup in their constitution. That's the way things were and still are meant to be. So I'm going to get off the subject here for just a minute and get on to an even harder subject. The propaganda is that I, to my Republican friends, am just terrible. And the reason is because I'm pro-choice. And I just believe that side of the aisle doesn't understand what pro-choice is. I have 5 children. 5 children. Soon to be 13 grandchildren. So I guess that I'm pro-life. Good. You answered that question very well. I am pro-life. I have 5 children to prove it. But I don't have the right to go next door to my neighbor's house and make them or get them or drop my friendship with them because they want to have to abort their child that they just conceived due to whatever the reason is. They don't really need a reason. It's the 2 of them. And they can make a decision based on what they think. And that's their right. So there is a thing about propaganda and abortion. And it's a tough subject, abortion. And I make no mistake about, believing that's the case because it is. And it should be. So, but the propaganda that we really need to be speaking about is that I don't want to say unknowingly. I think the public of the United States is not unknowing about this. I think that we as a country have just said it'll never happen here. It can't happen here. The people, whatever we think can't happen here. Well, it can happen here. And it's happening here. They being whoever our enemies are. I mean, you can be specific and say the Russians, and you can be specific and say the Chinese. Okay? The Chinese can't feed the amount of people they have now. The Russians have destroyed themselves as far as their military goes because they're going to have to where are they going to get all the money to rebuild their war machine? And then there's Iran, who I don't really know what's going on in Iran. I just know that they hate people that get to think for themselves, and that's dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
It's very dangerous because I'm allowed to do that in this country at this time. I'm allowed to have a different opinion than the other 3 people at the table. And they're not entitled to just shoot me because of that. Though they can shoot me. But they'd have to be accountable, I think. I don't know. Accountability may not even be something
that exists
we're
anymore.
into now either. You see? So we have to deal with the fact that we've got people propagandizing because they would somehow like to see. I have a Walmart story about this. See what they can do to wreak havoc. So let's go back in time and let's study some of the successful people that were around years and years and years ago. Sears, J.C. Penney's, people like that. Along came Walmart. Now, when Walmart came along, they were studied and emulated, and we want to be like them. We want to be successful like them. Today, it's as if they want to see every Walmart store in the country go away because they don't really want success to be taking place. And this is the propagandists. This is not people like myself or friends of mine. We cheer each other on. There's a big difference in smiling and being happy and finding good things about things than to just everything's wrong. There's nothing is right. And I've tried living in a negative world. That didn't work. And so what I'm focused on at this point in time in my life is to. I never thought I'd do a podcast. I mean, I didn't have an interest in doing a podcast. I hadn't even thought about doing a podcast. But I'm trying to help my grandchildren have some kind of record of what a 78-year-old dude feels about things. And it's still, I think, uncomfortable. That's a good word. To really sometimes tell people what you really feel, because people with a conscience and people who are accountable and people who are responsible are not very understood in this country anymore by the haters. I think the majority of this country knows exactly how to have manners, ethics, accountability, responsibility, but the haters get all the attention.
It's true.
If you murder somebody, you can make the 6 o'clock news. That's the propaganda. If you hug somebody, wow, that's we can't cover that. That's something good happening.
Yeah.
We don't want people to see that good things happen. It's a travesty.
Yeah.
It's a complete travesty. And I don't know. Did I tell you a story about a reunion last week of a family? Did I say something like that?
You did, I believe.
So
yeah, you did.
I thought so.
About that black family.
I thought so. I can't remember what I was doing this morning. So, to me, at this moment in time, it would be very nice if I was just left alone with my wife and my family and my friends to just do fun things, educational things, game playing, watching a cool, cute movie on Hallmark Channel. I'll give them a free commercial here. And I mean, there's just a whole lot of I'm trying to think of the word. There's just a whole lot of misinformation being put out by people who have not honest or good intentions. For instance, I was in a conversation the other day with 2 or 3 of my friends, and the word woke came into the picture. I don't even know what the hell woke is. I just heard this word. Uh, I don't watch the news, and you can hold that against me if you like. It's okay. I feel better not watching the news, and if you do, you watch the news. So I said, I don't know what woke is. Well, it has something to do with our history of when we were not treating people uh, the way they should have been treated, and that goes without saying. That still goes on. I believe that the uh, federal agents uh, run into kidnapped young women and probably kidnapped young men in the backs of trucks who, that whoever did it sold them into slavery. Well, we've been talking about being sold into slavery in this country uh, for some time now. I mean, I don't want to be somebody's slave. I wouldn't want somebody to be my slave. I don't have that kind of I don't have that kind of mentality. I you know I don't know. I would think 90 something percent of the people in this country wouldn't have that mentality. That's just awful. But it exists. It exists. There are nasty people out there who have propagandized their victims. They've been propagandized themselves, and they were the victims of that propaganda. Uh, those people, we hadn't even come to who the head is yet, because we don't know who the head is. So there's all kind of of this type of behavior, propaganda going on, and I don't know how to fix it. What are you going to do? Shoot everybody that does that? You know,
Can't find them all.
that's it. You couldn't find them all, and
Why would you want to?
I don't own a gun, but I'm the kind of person that if I owned a gun and I pointed it at you, because you were pointing the gun at me, if I cocked my gun, I'm going to kill you. You can count on it. I'm not going to wait for you to pull your trigger. I'm going to pull my trigger. You're you're trying to intimidate me, and you want to scare me to death. Well, I'm scared to death because I don't know what to do with a gun. But I know that if I knew what to do with a gun, that's what I would do, because I don't want. You got to be selfish sometimes. You know, my mother used to tell me that you could be, when I was growing up as a teenager, that's what you are. She said I had 15 minutes a day to be selfish. That was my favorite 15 minutes of the day. Okay. I don't know why that was the way it was, but that was my favorite 15 minutes of the day, because I was able to eat a bowl of shredded wheat where there was a card in there. I'm trying to remember who. Straight Arrow. There was always a card in the shredded wheats, and I think it was what I said, Straight Arrow. Somebody out there will send in a comment, because I don't know that that's right. But by the time that she wasn't with us anymore, which was a few years ago, when she was 95 and a half.
I thought she was 98.
No, she was 95 and a half. And your grandfather
was 101.
Yeah, your great grandfather was 101 a few years before that. He'd have been 109, I think, now. And if he hadn't fallen straight down on the tile floor, he'd still be here. His mind was sounder than mine. There was no way I could get into a life experience conversation. Best thing for me to do is shut my mouth and learn something. Um, but I don't have an attention span. See, you've been working with a grandfather who doesn't have an attention span. You didn't know that?
I mean,
do I look like I have an attention span?
Not when it comes to dinner or your wife, but I mean, in these conversations.
Well, that's why she stayed with me all this time. She's been away for her to, we've been married 39 years and we've been together 51 years. And that gives her a chance to practice her English.
If you say so. That's not what she said.
Well, I don't know. Don't tell me what she says. I don't want to know what she says. I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, except I want to improve. And I am improving. It only took me 32 minutes last night to come to eat after Chicago. That's probably a record. What do you think? You think that's a record?
Compared to last week or the day before, probably, yeah.
Just so you can't go any further back than last week?
Oh, no, I can. I just don't want to hurt your feelings.
Well, that's kind of hard to do anyway, because now you're hitting on another subject, which we'll wait for another day. But the thought that, people are trying, we're trying to spy on China and Russia and Iran. Okay, we're trying to spy on those people. We've even been caught spying on Israel. Israel could teach a lot of people a lot of things. They're the smartest, technologically advanced country in the world. There's nobody in the league at the moment. So the propaganda, we'll get back to that, is that these people that do woke, and there's something else out there that I've heard.
The pronouns.
Huh?
Pronouns.
Now that I don't have any idea what that is. I ain't got a clue what that is. Pronouns. I just made a bunch of them in my little talk here. I know I used some pronouns, didn't I? From just being a straight pronoun sayer, I bet you I use some pronouns.
Yeah.
I don't know what the new pronouns is. I don't want to know what it is because it's a propaganda. Oh, why did I use that word? Oh, because that's a good word to use with it. Of some insecure people who probably wouldn't be responsible for anything that they ever did because they've never done anything. Insecure people have a tough time. I've been insecure. I've been down that road. I couldn't have decided whether I had 5 fingers at one time in my life. So anyway, you want me to count your fingers?
I have 5 fingers, Papa.
Okay. Okay, then. We'll go on. So all I can tell you is that it's not getting
sorry, my voice is burnt out from singing so much.
I'm sorry?
I was telling them my voice is burnt out from singing so much, so I don't really sound like myself right now, but
you sound fine.
I don't know. I don't really sound like myself. Aren't you noticing like this kind of a different kind of voice tone I'm having right now?
Well, you have to remember something.
Yeah.
I can't hear out of my left ear, and my right ear I'm deaf in. So you have to take your chances with me. You can whisper. I probably can't hear that ever. And you can yell loud, and you'll say something about a biscuit, and I'll say, "Are you from Baltimore?"
I know Oh God.
We need to stay off that because there's no telling what I would hear.
Anyways, I've been singing a lot. I just recorded some new music. I'm not sure when that's going to be out. I need to really take a break from music, but I'm always working. I've got my next 2 years planned out for myself. Really, what I think propaganda has the most effect in, and this is something that I know he feels a lot about, but I feel that what we're talking off of, and the news programs, yes, but the internet, TikTok, everything, that's the biggest piece of propaganda there is. And there's actually a song by an artist named Dax. I'm absolutely obsessed with him in the standpoint of his music. And he talks a lot about the social system and propaganda. And he's actually who inspired me to even do this episode of this podcast today. Because I really admire him for doing what no other music artist, not even people who are making Billboard headlines and performing at the VMAs or award shows, has gotten these types of topics and points across like Dax has. And I feel like, we already know that TikTok is run by the Chinese and the Japanese, and Russia's got to have some part in something, but they may not. They're too busy with whatever they're doing. So what I feel is that is the truth, really, in my opinion, is that underneath so many gullible human beings, they don't know that they're being played by TikTok. They don't know that they're being played every single day. World War III is approaching. And the reason that it's approaching is because of the Chinese and the Japanese.
Not the Japanese.
Well, the Chinese.
Not the Japanese.
No. The Chinese turning Americans and America as a whole against each other.
You mean the Manchurian candidates? Whoever's out there needs to go see that movie. That was what I was just fixing to talk about. It was the Manchurian candidates.
Well, I guess I beat you to the punch, but personally, a lot of people don't realize that we're approaching a huge war, probably even worse than World War II and the ones before it, because things have gotten to the point where nobody knows who they are anymore. Nobody understands the concept of living, going outside and sitting by a lake, watching birds, feeding birds.
No, they can't converse with each other either.
And they
can't disagree agreeably. There's one side that just I'm going to dominate the other side. I'm going to keep them quiet. I'm not going to let them talk. I'm going to let them know what powerful power I am. We have that right here in this country.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of people that are scared to talk anymore because they're afraid of consequences. I mean, if y'all are going to break in here, I'm talking about the federal SWAT teams, and you're going to shoot me, well, come on. Just come on. I got to die someday.
I mean, me too.
I mean, I'm who I am. You got to take the subject, and sometimes you're on the right, and sometimes you're on the left. And I don't even know hardly what that means. I mean, what kind of label is that? I've just explained to you that I'm a pro-life in a conception standpoint, but I'm a pro-choice when it comes to social, the social aspect of it's none of my business. Other people's business is not my business. It's just not. It's like asking a lady her age. You don't ask women their age. That's as rude as you can get. Asking women their age, for God's sakes. If they want to tell me, they'll tell me. I ain't asking. You know.
I never do that.
You know. But there are people that want to destroy what we have here, and we're moving in the direction
of it all being destroyed.
Of already what they are.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make us part of that. And people don't want to believe that because,
because I'm having so much fun jumping off of bridges and poisoning the children of that are just growing up and shaking ass online. Excuse my French, but we all know it's happening. And 5-year-olds getting naked on the internet, selling their feet, and all this and that, and it's just it's.
Well, I mean, every day
there's
you
a
can
new
go
bit of
on your
something.
phone, 5 people here killed, 2 people there killed. It's mental health, Atriel. The treatment of mental health in the United States is...
Well, when people get beaten down and broken down so many times, a lot of people never get the help they need, and they go out and hurt other people.
That's what I'm saying. We have not yet figured out that mental health, it's like Parkinson's. They have no cure for Parkinson's. I'm either going to die from it or I'm not. Something else will get me before that would.
I feel like it's just going to be old age.
But anyway, this is a wonderful experiment. This country. This is the best experiment mankind has ever been allowed to take part in.
It is.
And it was always going to be destroyed from within, not from without.
No. China is trying to make us destroy each other.
Yeah, there are people that don't like us that have figured that out.
Figured out that we're stupid enough to fall for just about anything, and they're going to let us just destroy ourselves.
So that, I'm not trying to take sides here. I'm just trying to throw out information. Some of my information is probably not worth a toot, because I don't know everything.
No. But there are people that won't admit what you just said.
Well, that's okay. You got to be at peace with yourself to be able to just say what you got to say. And I wasn't at peace with myself for different periods of my life. I mean, that's what I think will resonate with you and my other grandchildren the most is you have to be accountable for what you do. I mean, if you believe, in responsibility, then you have to own it, and you can't just slough it off. And I quit watching the news because the media is about as biased as that dead chicken I saw on the side of the road the other day. I mean,
it's dead. It's dead. It's not. It's not going anywhere.
And your Uncle Jeff, who's going to be your 60-year-old,
and he looks the youngest too.
Well, he does,
but he's the oldest.
He does. That's because he's had more of my genes in it than anybody in the family.
Oh, Lord. That's why. You sure it's not Bubby's?
I had to grow this beard. See what I got to work with now. I mean, So, we're going to have to battle some stuff. People, we're going to have to battle some stuff. We did away with the draft, which I opposed very strongly. I tried to get in the military. I flunked every physical. But I've always thought there should be a law passed that you have to serve your country 4 years in the military. No
matter who you were?
Doesn't matter who you are. And I had friends that, when I was growing up in Mississippi, that use their influence of their father to make it to where they didn't have to go in the service, or they went real quick and joined the National Guard. And because they didn't call the National Guard up as much as they do now, because they have a shortage of the only fighting force in this country that's up to snuff at the moment is the United States Marine Corps, of which your uncle is a Marine.
Yeah, I know.
Not an active duty Marine.
I know.
But he's a Marine. And you don't want to fool with the Marine Corps. I mean, I've had officers in that branch of the service tell me ever since I went to your uncle's graduation at not Camp Lejeune, but Paris Island, that when you kill a Marine, they don't train to die. So when you kill a Marine, you've done something. And I believe that. But the Army and the Navy and the Air Force and the Coast Guard don't have enough people. They've had to lower their standards. Now, I don't know why that wouldn't work out. The people that, let's say, they've had to lower their standards to take in, that may be exactly what they needed, was some discipline in their life. You see? And that's why we skip around. We started out with propaganda, which indirectly has
a lot to do with what we're discussing
now. You know. I don't know what we'll talk about next week. I ain't worried about next week. I ain't got that yet.
But there was something that you talked to me about that resonated with me about the Manchurian Candidate, and
well, you had to have either seen the movie or read the book.
Both.
I don't know that there's a book out there. I don't know. There probably is.
But
I don't know.
You used to be able to get it in the libraries, but you can't.
Well, there you have it.
You can't get it in the libraries now. You have to go read it online or try to purchase it somewhere online. I've read parts of it in between the lines, but what you told me and what the book really got into is what we've been trying to get into, and one of the things you told me is that about the Chinese and what their plans are and how a lot of the Americans don't know about it.
Well, listen. It's very hard. It's very hard to take a stance. You have to be a leader to do that. We don't have any leaders. We don't have any Dwight David Eisenhowers.
Or John F. Kennedy's.
Yeah, or John F. Kennedy. Yeah. That's why John F. Kennedy is unfortunately not with us, because the decisions he made were not what the money down under who run the country. George Soros runs the country, you see.
Joe Biden.
Not him.
He couldn't run his way out of the damn paper bag.
He's been very successful to blow up the judicial system
and destroy America
by getting people of his ilk, of his, let's see what we can do to destroy a good law. Okay. The judicial system has been under attack for a long time, and it should be under attack. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but that people like him are what is running the country, because Mr. Biden
he couldn't run himself out of a damn paper bag.
Well, that's probably got some.
And it's sad.
You see, there are people that tell you Donald Trump couldn't do that either. And, so you can't say that the people that say that about Biden are stupid, and the people that said that about Trump are not stupid.
I'm not saying that at all. I mean,
okay.
Trump didn't do things perfectly either. In fact,
humans don't know how to do that. And they're never going to be able to know how to do that. Then that's not a knock on humanity. It's just It's just the way it is. You know, all you can do is live minute to minute. That's what you got to do. You got to learn how to do that. You don't learn how to do that, you're gonna make your life a lot tougher. And minute to minute. While there are people in cars that have to be one car length in front of you, or their life ain't worth living. Now, who was president of that club 50, 30, 40 years ago? That'd be me.
You used to have to be everywhere.
Man, I was going to be first over that bridge that was gone. I was going to be the one sailing into the water first. Because I was going to be first. Now, I'm the guy that drives 60 in the right-hand lane, and I get waved at by all these people. I get the finger from some people. I get stares from some people. Because what are you out here driving on an interstate and going 60 miles an hour?
That's the speed limit.
No, 70 is the speed limit.
70
I normally drive 65 or 70, and I don't drive at night anymore at all. I refuse to do that.
Well, you do sometimes, but you like to not.
Well, I mean, it's around here.
Oh.
I can take you down to the ice cream shop and get home because it's well lighted.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get in the car and drive you to Jacksonville unless it's a total emergency, because I ain't driving in the dark. You know? But we don't have any leaders back to that. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that our enemies have leaders. Okay.
But they're unfortunately, what's sad to think about is that places like Russia and places like that are as terrible conditions as some parts can be of Russia and in Europe are doing better than the United States, who has claimed to be the freest country. And we have
we're not this we're not this rich, gold paved place. We never were. We were when it came to letting people supposedly speak their mind. I don't even think you could speak your mind back in the 1850s or 60s. I don't believe that you could.
I couldn't do any.
Humans are best at repeating everything that's bad, and not so much everything that's good. But they're really good at repeating what's bad.
Pop, I couldn't do anything that I've done today back in the 1800s. I couldn't do what I've done in the Somebody to Love video or the Perfect the Way You Are video.
I know all that.
I mean, there is so much that
I'm talking about if you took the people of today, 2023, and you put them out in the woods, you put 10 million Georgians, yeah, they say we have it, maybe up to 11 million by now, put them out in the forest, that just out in the forest.
Wild boars.
Just in the forest, not near any. There's enough land that you can put X amount of people, and there's nothing there but trees, swamp, rivers, springs. Okay, you want to cut the population? Leave them in the woods for 3 days, and half of them won't come out because they don't know what to do. And more than likely, I'd be one of them. Because I don't know how much I remember about my Boy Scout training or not. I know there are trees that you can cut into that you can get
sap out of.
Yeah.
I used to do that.
And the reason that I think people would have trouble dealing with that is you can go without water for 3 days, and you technically can go without food for 3 days, but you can't go without food much longer.
Well, see, you can go.
I mean, you cannot go without sleep.
Sleep. Well,
yeah, it's sleep that you can't go without.
And if you can't sleep, you can't live.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I guess that we've gotten to the point now where we had beaten enough of this dead horse.
Well, I
Or is
mean,
there something else you want to do?
I just, I always love these conversations with you because when we're having these conversations, Papa, it's not, oh, well, you sound like you're an old man because you think that China made TikTok, and you sound just like my teacher at school, and you sound like this, and you're just hating on me. This is music, this is art, this is just the most amazing thing that's ever happened. Uh, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, grow up already. But with you, I can just talk about these things because you understand that there are things that, yeah, might be okay on TikTok. Like there may be cute animal videos. I don't know. Uh, there may be good, helpful things on there. Like with anything else, like with Instagram or even YouTube itself.
Well,
Or
it's okay for you to attack TikTok, which I have no idea what that is. I don't have any idea what any of this stuff is because I don't do social media.
well, you know what
I
TikTok
wouldn't do
is. You just
social
don't know
media.
what it is.
I'm not that stupid to do social media. And if I'm insulting people as if I'm saying that you're an idiot if you do social media, that's not true. You do whatever you want to do. Okay. I just think it's stupid. So I don't do it. Okay. But if 14 billion people on this planet want to do social media, go go do it. I'm not here to be a dictator.
No,
That's not
we
my
don't
job.
need any more of those.
That's not my job. My job is to do what I can to help myself live minute to minute so that I'm not in the obituary. And you know what? I didn't read about my obituary this morning, so I made it another. Looks like I made it another day.
Well, I'm still writing my will. I'm already writing my will. I'm not planning to live any further, Papa. We're going downhill. I'm not planning to live to 2080. I don't even think there'll be a house in the world in 2080.
No, you don't want to take that attitude.
Well, I mean,
Your Uncle Jeff used to tell me. I mean, Uncle Jeff for me. I used to tell my parents in the 60s when I was in my 20s that there ain't gonna be no Social Security for me. There ain't gonna be no Medicare for me. Why am I paying this damn money out of my chest? What the hell am I stupid? Why am I having to do this? Okay, but if it wasn't for Social Security, which I took at 62, instead of doing what everybody else everybody else, you don't want to take it at 62. You don't want to take it at 62. You want to take it at 65 or 66. Well, I could have done that, but I'd have probably been living under a bridge by the time that I took it. I wouldn't even have had a post office box. I probably couldn't have afforded a post office box. So I did what was best for me. If you want to call that selfish, I'm president of that class. I've always told you that whatever we're talking about, I'm the president of it because I've done that. Okay. I'm not snooty enough to sit here and look at people and go, I hadn't done that. I've done everything that you can do that makes no sense. And it's good for you because it keeps you humble. And that's not a word that is very familiar to you.
Well, it's starting to get
humanity at the moment.
Familiar again. It is starting to get familiar again. I'd say,
this next election is going to tell us something.
It's going to tell us whether we're in trouble or whether we're
whether we're going to continue at a faster rate
or remain at a slow rate.
Well, see, I don't really care who the Republicans put up, and I don't really care who the Democrats put up. They can put up whoever in the hell they want to put up. I'm voting for Steve Harvey and Al Roker. I'm voting for two guys who are going to make us laugh again. By God, you just don't know how much good that'll do to laugh. Oh. That's my Steve Harvey imitation. I love that man to death. Hardest working human being on this planet. There's nobody in his league. Okay. He'll make people smile. So will Al Roca, and both of them will get in there and make people get their senses of humor back. And that's the two things that are missing in this day and time. And it's hard when you're struggling to make a house payment to smile and be happy. I mean, there's so much debt in this country. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, debt.
Debt is a big, huge situation. If I wasn't a Dave Ramsey disciple, I'd be in big trouble at 78 years old. Huge. I give him a lot of credit for helping me. And we don't even know each other. Well, that's his loss. I'm sorry.
I thought y'all knew each other.
No, he's too busy to be able to come to every location that you take his course.
You've been talking about him for years, Papa.
That's because if you follow what he's doing, you can get yourself out of debt. That's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how we can beat this dog anymore. I don't like beating dogs to start with.
Well, we've been beating this dog for about an hour almost.
Well, that's good. We can say goodbye now.
Well, thanks for everybody who made it, who didn't make it, who will make it later, who might make it in 2 centuries, if we're here in 2 centuries. And thank you for everybody who supports me and my grandfather.
Well, I'm a kook. You got to remember that. Once you remember that, you can enjoy this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What he said. If you like this podcast, chances are you may like some of the videos I put together, or the short videos I put together. I am very thankful for everybody who even tunes in or pays any bit of attention to me or my grandfather. He is obviously really thankful for this is new for him. Like he said, he didn't know he would be doing a podcast at any point. So thank you. And I didn't think I'd be doing a podcast either, but the point is we appreciate
say good night, Gracie.
God. We appreciate everything. I mean, we'll be going to our exercise classes because he goes to golf Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and he'll walk 9 holes. He used to walk 18, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays he'll be going to an exercise class. He'll be lifting weights, and I'll be like, how do you work every single day? And then he only has the weekends off that he gets to hang with this one. How lucky. So
no, I'm lucky too. I'm lucky to have a grandson that takes his time to spend some time with his grandfather. I think that's great.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I appreciate that, Papa.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
But say good night, Gracie.
Oh, God. Anyways, good night, Gracie.